Thank you for coming. We're going to be talking about avoid these 4 Apple device refresh mistakes. So if that's not the session you intended to be on, that's what we're talking about, and you're certainly more than welcome to hang out and spend some time with us. My name is John. I'm with the Jamf crew, but we're not going to hear much from me today. We're going to hear from Ron and Kristen from Second Life Mac, who will walk us through Apple device refresh mistakes. So let's welcome them up onto the stage.
Thank you, everyone. I love these mics. Man.
A little scary. It's fun, though.
No,
like
they're
it.
cool. Hey, after the session, I might do my freestyle. So.
Oh, I've heard Ron's freestyle. Not great. Not great.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ron Coleman. I'm the Vice President of Mobility Solutions. This is Kristen Lill. She's our VP of Channel Development, and we are Second Life Mac. Basically, what we have done is we've come together to create a solution for you, also, and give you the tools that you need to be able to do a successful device refresh. What is Second Life Mac? Second Life Mac simply is an Apple exclusive buyback company. We have clients in the education, enterprise, government, finance, and healthcare sectors. We are here to help you with the heavy lifting. We want to make sure that you have the tools and the confidence when you walk out of here to be able to have, a successful refresh project. Let's talk about the agenda.
So we're really excited. We did a ton of homework and really talked to IT directors, CIOs, and people in positions like yourselves. So we've narrowed it down to 4 Apple device refresh mistakes. So we'll go through 1, we'll go through 2. Very excited about live panel. We're actually bringing a live panel on with 2 members over here. They are not scripted, so we're going to open up the floor to any questions for you guys, as well as questions and scenarios and stories from you. And we're going to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly of refreshing. We'll go into 3, and then we'll end with 4. So where will IT be spending its time in 2019? Probably thinking that's a rainbow. Let's focus on 4%. The 4% is the amount of time a CIO or a technology department in 2019 is going to focus on a buyback process or a workflow. So Second Life Mac conducted a market research of over 20 different IT directors and CIOs to identify the top areas where they'd be spending the most time in 2019. We want to take that 4% at Second Life Mac and bring that down to 0. That is not your job. That is the expert's job. Let us help you guys do your job and allocate those resources somewhere else in that pie.
So let's get into the mistakes. Mistake number 1, selling your devices during the April through July timeframes. Why is that a mistake? It's a mistake because it causes device market saturation. Take the educational sector. If you look at what they like to do, they like to refresh their devices during the summer months. And what happens is it causes device saturation in the market. It allows customers and companies to purchase devices at a lower rate. But if you actually take it and hold those devices just a couple more months, you can actually increase the value of those devices by 15 to 20%. Think about that. 15 to 20% increase in your device value, that's a lot of money that you're leaving out on the table. And that's what a buyback partner does. They help you create those solutions, and they also incorporate timeframes and timelines to do those refreshes.
Exactly what you said, Ron, is exactly what a buyback partner does. So the difference between a recycler and a buyback partner, you're probably thinking, Kristen, that's the same thing. Well, it's really not. And let me explain how. A lot of our customers come to us and they say, we're working with 3 or 4 different vendors. I'm like, okay, my first question is, why are you working with 3 or 4 different vendors? That has to be a pain. And they do say that is one of our pains. So if you worked with a buyback partner, you would get a full consultative approach, 100% life cycle of that device, to help you from deployment to the buyback. So really a recycler, guys, is reactive when a buyback partner is being proactive. So if you really look at it, for a recycler, they're going to give you an account executive, account manager. Ron, do you think they're going to be available at 7 p.m. on a Friday if they have some type of emergency?
Probably not.
But in a buyback partner, you have a team. There's a
Absolutely.
big difference between a vendor and having a partner. Having little to no value or having a maximum of your ROI. Recycling should only be an option, guys, if your devices do not have a buyback value. Keep that in mind.
So let's get into our panel discussion. We're extremely excited.
We've typically done Q&A at the end, but we're actually going to try to incorporate the Q&A into this part. So we have Jackie from Enterprise Organization,
Yeah.
and then Joe from Education as well. So as you guys are kind of going through, and I'll welcome them up onto the stage here, if you have questions about just kind of any of the buyback process or anything there, or specific industry questions, they're up here to help answer those. And the microphones are up in the front here, and you can use those to walk up and yeah, ask any questions you might have. But come on up, guys. Yeah, welcome them
Like
up.
that
Sorry.
got awkward. So what mistakes were made during your device refresh, and what lessons did you learn from it, Jackie?
When we did our device refresh a few years ago, this was the first time for us. We had just instituted Apple iPads for our sales force, and we didn't have the security tools. We didn't have MDM or DEP at the time, which we do now. But a lot of the mistakes were making sure that the devices were clear of the Apple ID locks. All of the activation locks were on it, documenting and keeping track of the inventory so that we could clear it out of the devices. It was costly for us because we didn't use a buyback partner. We essentially got the equipment back and we utilized it with a carrier to get like subsidy credits back. We didn't know any better at the time, so it was just getting the credits back on the bill. Whereas now, if we're getting ready to do our next device refresh, we've been looking with the buyback partners with Second Life Mac, and the values that are there are much more substantial, and then I can take that money and use it towards other projects in our budget.
So Joe, we're going to go with the same question for you.
Hi, I'm Joe. So we had a lot of the similar kinds of situations that Jackie did. We also had some interesting concerns from our legal department because we're a government entity. And when it ever comes to trying to get rid of something in the government, that requires all kinds of paperwork and insanity, and it's just not fun. So the idea of a buyback kind of, it skirts a gray area in the government zone where we can say, hey, you know, we're selling it, but we're not selling it. And how do we do that on an ongoing basis? My district is K-12. We have 1,600 iPads out with students. If you can imagine what a smash rate on that is, if you know your own children, there is a lot that comes back to us in pieces that maybe doesn't make sense to try to save. So we were going through in small quantity, onesie, twosie, sending devices out for whatever cash we could get for them, or trying to get them repaired, and we were going back and forth, and it just really didn't pan out. After talking with Second Life Mac a little bit, we had a discussion about, boxing them up in groups of 10 or selling them at different times of the year, like Ron said earlier. Picking the right time to do it and trying to get the most we could out of some of that, pile of what used to be an iPad.
Thank you, guys. Are we going to open up the floor to Q&A if that's all right with you? Yeah. Perfect. Any questions in the audience for Jackie, Joe, myself, Ron?
I can answer a few questions about the Patriots if you want.
Don't talk about that.
We have a Patriots fan over there.
One. Okay, so let's get to the next question. So we'll start with you, Joe. Joe, tell us some of the challenges you experienced with your previous buyback partner.
Well, I kind of started to allude to it the last question. Dealing with small quantities and trying to, every time something broke, it seemed like every day we were shipping something, and it just made no sense. There wasn't a procedure. We weren't all using the same provider in some cases, or vendor. Some were going to one vendor, some were going to another. And from a management standpoint on my side, it really struck out to me that I needed to kind of consolidate that somehow. And I'd really like to stick with one partner. It makes things more smooth on the IT side when I'm standing there saying, you know, hey, I need to get rid of 20 rather than one. I think the other thing was the prices were all over the place. I would call today, I would get one price, I'd call tomorrow, I'd get another. I found with the partner side of it, it's kind of more stable, and I get a better relationship with them, whereas I'm calling into a call center normally, or emailing, or doing some kind of website-based return.
Yeah, I'd add to that as well. Regarding the different buybacks. So we worked with recyclers in the past, and we also worked with the carriers. And it seemed that I was carrying the brunt of all of that work, and I don't have time to dedicate to focusing on shipping out old devices. We have to focus on deploying new, making sure that everything is secure and activated. The other challenge that I had with the recyclers, oftentimes I was having to chase them down to get serialized lists to make sure that I could clear it out of our asset inventory, as well as reporting for tax purposes. And often it was just, here, you had total X number of devices, this is the value, there was none, and that was it. So I really like seeing the itemized lists out that show everything that was cleared out of our inventory, that the audits are completed, and that the data is destructed if needed. So,
Great. Thank you, guys.
So any questions in the audience about that? All right.
We got a quiet audience out here. No questions? None? All right, we'll
That means
move
we're
on.
doing good. All right, so let's, the final question. What do you feel is the most important thing to consider when selecting a buyback partner? And we'll start with you, Jackie.
yes, so to speak on this, when we're looking at the buyback partners now, based on our lessons learned, we're definitely looking for someone trustworthy that's going to be speaking with you on a regular basis, that is available. They handhold you, in a sense, to guide you through the process. During our first refresh, we had no idea what we were doing. You know, we were just kind of going through the motions, making sure that the devices were cleared out and kept up to date, that the new devices were pushed out, but the recovery process was awful. The whole bit of it was just a bad refresh. So with the buyback partners, I feel that they give you the device checklist, the device refresh checklist to help you, and you go through that very easy step-by-step process, and they guide you along the way. So that's something that's really important to me, as well as maximizing value. My biggest takeaway from doing this was understanding that I could take that money that was sent to me as a check, and I could apply it to other parts of my budget. The recyclers, we weren't getting any money back, and the carriers, it's just a carrier credit back on the bill. So that was very important to me as well.
Awesome. Joe?
I think I kind of echo what Jackie said. I'll add that, you know, the size of the partner is important in my case, just because of the quantities we were sending. If you're sending 1,000 devices to somebody and they're not equipped to handle that, you're getting a 2 or 3 month turnaround on what you're expecting to be a few weeks. It really was noticeable when we started asking some of the other vendors, like, you know, okay, we're going to send you 1,000, you know, and I got a whoa, and it really kind of scared me a little bit. That said, I mean, the process was smooth. I really loved the audits. Like, those were great because it gave me a chance I could match something up right next to something I had already looked at. Every serial number came back with a grade on it, and I looked at it and said, yeah, it agrees with what I had to say. And it was, you know, once, like Jackie said, you get that check back, we, in the government side, you know, we don't get a lot of money in other than tax revenue. So having a revenue stream to replace or repair other devices is an exciting, you know, piece for us.
One other thing to add that is important is also having the ability to work with remote locations. We have a network of over 60 offices in the US plus Canada, and having people send back devices to me, I didn't have places to store this. I didn't have time to catalog it and go through it. So working with someone that can utilize and focus on managing that for me, sending out the prepaid shipping labels, the boxes, getting that equipment back into their warehouse, frees up all of that space, time, and constraints for me.
That's great. I dare to ask if anyone's had any questions. Any questions? All right.
Oh, we got one.
Oh,
two.
perfect. I like it.
Awesome.
Hi. So you guys touched on broken computers and selling them back. So does Second Life Mac, do they repair them or do they just buy them? Or like
We
do
are
you work
not
with?
a repair company.
Okay.
So, yes, so just buyback. Was that the answer to your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
He kind of stole my thunder, but
That's a
because actually that was actually kind of my question too. Was we've had a lot of debates internally. When is it more cost effective to repair it and then sell it versus just saying it is what it is. We're not going to repair it. We're just going to sell it as is. So I don't know if you have any feedback, if that's been in discussion in your
I
business,
can
when
answer
to
this.
repair versus when to repair and then try to sell, or just sell.
great question.
So based on our experience with our sales force, they're just like kids. We get a lot of damaged devices back. I would say about 3% of our fleet has come back damaged. And I went through this exact same debate. Do I repair it, refurbish it, put it back in our inventory, or do I sell it? And oftentimes, depending on the amount of damage to the device, it's not cost effective to repair it, because now you're paying for the cost of the repair. The LCDs alone cost around $100 plus the labor, and if you don't have a tech in-house to do this for you, it doesn't make sense. And the cost of the new device is going to be much more effective in the long run. When I've had to repair the devices and put them back in the inventory, they're usually coming back within 3 to 6 months, because either the touchscreen doesn't work anymore, or something else went wrong with it, or during the repair something got disconnected. So I don't even deal with that anymore. I just put them in the damaged pile. They're going as a part of the buyback. I know that the value is not going to be the same, but it takes that headache out of the way.
Thank you.
Those are good examples.
And keep
Another
in
question.
mind too
Go
that
for it.
sorry, I'm so sorry. Keep in mind too that beyond economical repair, for that percentage, again, rely on a buyback partner. If you really can't do something at that time, call Second Life Mac, call us, and ask us questions about this. We know the market better than you guys know the market when it comes to buyback. So reach out to us, call us.
Do you have any means of dealing with activation lock issues, or is that still the usual process of send the secret beg letter to the secret email address and hopefully approve you? Or
It's really interesting. I'm going to actually refer to Jackie, because she has a great way to kind of keep that down. But to answer your question, we have not found the secret power behind the curtain quite yet. But Jackie does have a way for you to circumvent that.
So if you don't have it already, get DEP.
yep, that's what we're doing, and managed Apple IDs, but
Yes.
you still get older devices coming in occasionally.
Yeah, so when we did our first deployment, it was about 1,500 devices on the iPad, and this was a new experience for us because we didn't traditionally deploy Mac devices. And with the iPhone 6, that's when they started doing the Apple ID lock. What we found, because I didn't have DEP at the time, we didn't know the program was going to blow up the way it did. A lot of those devices were pushed out into the field without any type of security, any type of restrictions. I mean, other than a restriction code, but it still allowed the users to put their own Apple ID. We kind of locked it down to where we were using shared Apple IDs, but then somebody got a hold of the password and started sending pop-up messages to all of the devices that had that, so we took that away. When I did get those devices back, and I had enrolled in DEP, it was April 2016, I was able to go back and provide my receipts, my proof of purchase to Apple, and they enrolled it in my DEP program so that we could go in and wipe and remove the Apple lock. Prior to that, it was calling in to Apple, getting the case number, filling out your bulk activation lock request, putting the IMEI or the serial number, and providing the proof of purchase. If some companies don't keep track of that, it's often hard to go back and find it, so you need to reach out to your carriers to get it. But DEP and the carriers, as long as you have it registered, will go back up to 3 years.
Yeah, and let me add to that, if you don't mind. Basically, I've seen a lot of customers and clients, what they do is they get an internal repository. So anytime they purchase devices, they have a specific email address or distro, and those emails actually go into the actual order that the receipt that or invoice that comes in. It actually goes to that email and then pushes to the repository, so that you have those proof of purchases probably really at finger's length, so you can pull those quickly and provide obviously those proof of purchases to Apple. We all know the pains that we have with individuals that are out in the field and are not in DEP and have done previous times. So, but the ones going forward, if you have a repository, I've really seen success making sure that you have a clean, always simple way of getting those invoices in a repository. I've seen has been very successful.
Yeah, and that's helped us on most of the devices that have
Perfect.
come in.
Awesome.
Thank
Any other
you
questions?
for your question.
All right. Any other questions?
We thank Jackie and Joe for coming up on the stage. We
Thank you
appreciate
so much.
it. Thanks, guys, for your participation. Oop. No worries.
All right, so we're getting into mistake number 3.
Awesome. So, guys, the past 2 days, we've gotten a chance to really talk to all of you. And not all of you yet, so you have to come see us in booth 7. But what we're finding is 95% of you guys do not have a buyback plan, a workflow, a streamlined process. And that's okay. You shouldn't have that. We should have that. Our VP Mobility should be building that for you. So the reasons why you don't want to think about doing your refresh, waiting too long to do your refresh, guys, is because you have the loss of value on your devices. You're recycling devices instead of working with a buyback partner. Lack of planning is going to lead to scrambling to meet deadlines. And for us to give you a 1-day plan, a device refresh checklist, it's going to be a successful end of life.
Okay.
So,
Okay, go ahead.
sorry. While you guys are waiting too long or not thinking about your device refresh, the one thing that you have to think about is in a recycler, they might mess up the logistics. They might not pick up your packages. FedEx might drop them and shatter them all. These are things that a partner really thinks about. We've done this 300 plus times. We know what we're doing. We're the experts in buyback. Let us take control so you guys can do the things that you guys do best, and let us do the things that we do best.
All right. Let's get into our last and final mistake, not researching and selecting the right buyback partner. Very, very important. And notice I said partner and not vendor. A partner has a vested interest in your success. We want to make sure, or a partner wants to make sure, that you have the tools, you have the knowledge, and you have the everything that you need to be able to have a successful refresh from beginning to end. Now, when you're selecting the right buyback partner, you got to ask them the tough questions. Don't be afraid. Ask them those questions. First thing you want to ask them, can they provide you with full transparency? Can they create a solution that's clean and as simple? Very easy. Quoting devices, receiving the devices, wiping the devices, auditing the devices, and then paying on those devices. Those 5 steps, along with a clean, cognitive approach and process, that's when you have something. Ask those questions. Do they have strong upfront pricing? Can they provide you solid pricing when you need it, and they're going to be able to stand by that pricing that they give you? Making sure that the devices are completely data wiped, giving you that great feeling when you send those devices in. You want to know that those devices are wiped correctly. I know I don't want to have pictures or your credit card information out there. So that's a very important thing. You want to make sure that they can provide you with a clean and sanitary way of wiping those devices. Making sure that they have a cyber theft insurance policy. In case anything happens, you need to make sure that they have those things and that they can supply you with that information. And then last but not least, providing you with certificates of disposal. That's very important. Can they provide that for you at a moment's notice? Do you have trackability of those devices from beginning to end? That's a very important feature when you're selecting a buyback partner. You guys are experts in your field, in your organization. Your bosses look to you for solutions. Your coworkers look to you for solutions. Our job is to provide you with the support, the information that you need to be able to be that one-stop shop for your workers, your coworkers, and your bosses. We want to help you do the heavy lifting. We want to help you be able to provide you with solutions from beginning to end. Allow a buyback partner or select a buyback partner that can be able to provide you with these steps and these solutions.
Ron, you actually touched on something that's been very consistent throughout traffic in our booth. And this is totally off script, but you'd mentioned that there's no way for them to really find out where their where their buyback items are going in a sense. You guys have ERPs, you guys have the software, you have everything going on to be able to control that. But a lot of people, what we've talked about, do not have a way to control that buyback. So keep in mind, working with a partner can really keep all those pieces together for you.
Okay, absolutely.
With that reporting.
Okay, so final considerations, basically just kind of summarizing a bit. We want to make sure that we kind of lead you with that information, making sure when you're avoiding those 4 mistakes, sell those devices outside the peak season. I know it can be difficult at times, but you can really see the financial impact if you just wait and understand what those peak seasons are. And a good buyback partner will help you understand that and create a process, whether it's 6 months or a year or 2 years down the line. A buyback partner can actually help you through that process from beginning to end. Partner, again, with a buyback company. Always partner. I mean, a lot of organizations have tried to do refreshes on their own. They've been things that have been missed. We've seen that happen a lot of times. Partnering with the buyback company really helps you create and check all of those boxes you need to check. Think about your refresh now. Again, if it's 6 months or a year down the line, you still need to be thinking about it now. You need to be thinking about when you're going to refresh those devices. You need to think about the whole process, how you're going to get the old devices in and the other devices out. Those are the things that you got to think about. Also, you got to think about, what is your return on investment? How much are you going to get for this? So you can create a whole solution for your bosses so they know the impact that you're going to have. And then finally, selecting the right partner. Again, we talked about all of that. Ask the tough questions. Make sure that you're understanding exactly how you guys do your business today. Understand how the partner will be able to help you with those solutions. Sit down with you, create a process and a program that supports you in the long run and at the beginning. All right, so basically what we did is we put an illustration of the perfect partnership. Second Life Mac is very, very excited about our partnership with Apple and with Jamf. It basically shows the actual procurement of the devices from the very beginning, the actual management that happens through Jamf, and then Second Life Mac, closing that loop, buying back those devices and closing that loop, making sure those devices are wiped, and we're finishing it up for you. So great partnership. We're excited about the partnership that we have, and we're excited about what we're going to do tomorrow.
So why are you seeing our faces up here?
Why are we sponsoring this event?
How are we growing so quickly at Second Life Mac?
It's because Second Life Mac is the best in buyback.
The best.
Pure and simple. So how do you get started? You talk to us. Come talk to us. We're in booth number 7. We relish the opportunity to sit with you, talk with you, understand what your challenges are, understand what your actual end goal is going to be. Again, we want to partner with you, again, not just for today, but for the long haul. We want to be a partner. We want to ensure your success. Again, you guys are the experts within your organization. Allow us to help you increase that look. Come by, let us know where you are, and we will definitely sit down and talk with you. Kristen will show the actual checklist that we can provide you. Very excited about that, and she'll kind of go over that a little bit in detail.
Yeah, so device refresh checklist, guys. This is pretty cool. It's 1 through 9. It's not really all about Second Life Mac. It is Second Life Mac's logo and phone number on the bottom. This is really about you. It's everything from deployment to buyback. So it gives you all the steps to make your refresh successful, not only successful, profitable. So it goes back to our whole presentation today. Follow these steps and let us help you. You guys will have a profitable refresh.
Absolutely.
So we're excited. We're hosting the Women in Tech session. It's going to be in the Nicollet Grand Ballroom from 4 to 4:45. Then I'm sure you guys are familiar, the Jamp cocktail hour is following that. So my suggestion would be what? Come to booth come to booth 7. We're going to hear him rap like we talked about earlier. And come to booth 7, go get freshened up, and then come see us in the Women in Tech, and then head out to the cocktail reception.
So thank you all again so much for coming to our session. We hope that you guys, when you leave here, you feel like you have the confidence, you have the tools, you have the idea to take that next step. The things that you need to do, selecting the right buyback partner, creating a synergy of what you're doing, and creating an end-to-end process. So thank you again. We really appreciate Jackie and Joe. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
we
you.
We appreciate them for your panel. And please come and see us. We're in booth number 7.
Bye, guys.